filter about which I will talk to you today consists. First, open your Photoshop and drag a photo you would like to edit. Then click Filter, Camera Raw Filter if your photo is in JPG format, or just drag your photo in RAW format and it automatically opens the Camera Raw panel. A panel called Before and After shows you your photo before and after editing. I changed some parameters of the photo for better visibility of the function of this button. You can set it to your taste. Here are lots of settings, but don't be scared. There is light, color, effects, curve, color mixing, color grading, details, optics, lens blur, geometry, calibration. So let's start editing. First, light. I increase the exposure because my photo is quite dark. Then I add some contrast, got lower highlights, brighter shadows and darker whites, and you can see how better is my photo now. Second panel, color. There you can change the white balance using the default presets located in the drop-down menu or using a slider of temperature and tint. Auto preset automatically changes the parameters of temperature and tint for the best. Next goes vibrance and saturation. They both change the intensity of color, but in different ways. Saturation changes all colors in the same way, and vibrance changes making more natural color. Vibrance is useful for portraits or any photos in which a human is an object. Saturation can make more colorful photos. Next is effects. Texture, in general, can fix fragments of photos that are out of focus. Clarity has a greater impact than texture on the overall image rather than on specific details. The haze is meant to add or remove atmospheric haze from an image. A vignette is a setting of darkening or brightening the borders of the photograph, which you can set up, for example, as I did in this video. The grain effect option adds a controlled amount of random noise to an image to simulate the grain pattern. You can set the size and roughness of it. Fourth, curve. It involves adjusting brightness and blending colors using a curve. I add wave on brightness for some additional contrast. Mixing colors I don't use. Fifth, color mixer. Here you can edit color hue, saturation and luminance in some separate colors. By the way, how to make a photo that I am editing, I have told in this video. The next one is color grading. Here you can set the tone of shadows, highlights and midtones. Now I switch to another photo and show you how you can do color grading. In this photo I want to make a nice sunset on the lake. I have to add some orange tones in highlights, and then I have to get midtones and shadows into some cold tones. If you want to repeat after me, choose midtones, add a blue color and increase the saturation. Do the same with shadows. The next one is detail. Here you can add sharpness into your photo and do denoising. Sharpening makes your photo sharpen, and you can set up it using radius, which changes how small areas can be sharpened, a detail that sharpens the image in the details, and masking that is used if you want sharp only the object but not the whole image. You can see how masking works holding Alt or Option. Next is AI noise reduction. Use it for very noisy photos. Also, it works poorly in my version and is very stressful for the PC. You can do manual noise reduction, which is quite simple to understand, so I move on. Next goes optics. Here you can remove chromatic aberrations, use profile corrections for your lens, and use a defringe. Chromatic aberration is some defect that is on the edge of an object. Chromatic aberration typically occurs visible in outside photos. Profile corrections are used for editing vignettes and distortion. If you set it to auto mode, Photoshop will do profile correction itself, or you can edit it yourself. Finally, a defringe is used for removing some green or purple colors in places they shouldn't be. You can choose a sample fringe and click on unnecessary green or purple for auto settings of the defringe. Lens blur. It is a background blur that Photoshop can automatically apply to your photo using AI if you tick this item. But in my version of Photoshop it works, as you can see, badly. Therefore, I will describe what there is. The blur amount increases the blur. Bokeh is which form your blur will have. Boost controls the bokeh intensity. In the focal range panel you can set up how much of the image will blur or sharpen. Also, there are yellow and blue columns. Yellow means objects that are close to the camera, and blue objects that are far from the camera. You can move this to set up which part of photo do you want to blur. If the AI mask works incorrectly, you can change it by ticking visuals depth and click in Clarifying, choose Focus or Blur, and you can edit your mask using Brush. Holding the right mouse button and moving it left or right, you can change the size of the brush. Also, you can change amount, feather and flow for your brush. I quickly did the blur for my photo and here is the result. Geometry. Here you will find presets for alignment like auto, level, vertical and full, which are pretty straightforward. But what about guided? Well, guided alignment lets you take control. You can draw lines to align your photo relative to a specific object you want to straighten out. Plus, there are manual transformation adjustments such as vertical, horizontal, rotate, aspect, scale, offset X and Y. This feature comes in handy especially if you are dealing with a cluttered composition and need to straighten things up. It's particularly beginner friendly, making photo editing a breeze for newcomers. The last one is calibration. You can set up the tint of shadows and RGB's primary hue and saturation here. The tint of shadows makes the shadows of your photo more green or magenta. As you are aware, images are composed of pixels in red, green and blue, which collectively contribute to color formation. So, the panels of red primary, green primary and blue primary change the hue and saturation not to exactly one color, but color pixels on the whole image. For instance, if I adjust the hue and saturation of the red primary, it applies across the entire image. However, its effect will be most noticeable in warm colors. It also applies to green and blue. All these parameters you have to change according to your needs. Also, the camera raw filter has an auto mode in which Photoshop automatically does all settings, and black and white mode transforms your photo into black and white. If you have a profile with much error, choose Convert Documents Colors to the working space. Congratulations! Now you know how to sample using the Camera Raw panel.